I love getting their text. They'll say, hey, we have this new product. It launches on this day. Click this link to be the first to know when it launches. And that obviously gets me excited because, I want to go support, but also I love their product. I know that they sell out, within a couple hours of it going live. So I want to make sure that I'm in there. You kind of want your audience to understand that, all right, this product sells out. This brand always sells out of their products as soon as they go live. It gets a lot of people excited about the wait list. It gets you to kind of play this drop strategy. This is something we've done a lot with the Skinny Confidential, where, when we launched Mouth Tape, we had it was basically a pent up demand. We had a bunch of people who were really excited for the drop, sold out within, less than an hour. Then the next time the restock was here, we already had that list ready to go, dropped it, sold out. Welcome to Limited Supply, the place for refreshingly real takes on what D2C is really like. I'm your host, Nick Sharma. Let's start talking about money. Have you ever added up all the conversions attributed to each of your paid channels and realized that the sum of those conversions is greater than the actual number of conversions on your site? That's likely because most ad platforms tend to over-report and get more credit than they deserve for the conversions they drive. Today, sophisticated marketers are moving away from attribution and moving toward incrementality testing in order to maximize growth and understand efficiency. To find the incrementality of your marketing tactics, you have to run test and control experiments, but these tests are hard to do on your own, and that's why I recommend using House. With House, you have an automated self-service platform that allows you to configure regional test and control experiments to measure incrementality, identify points of diminishing returns, optimally allocate marketing dollars, and maximize your growth. The platform is built by world-class scientists. It allows you to test all your marketing channels, both online and offline. You can measure the impact across all your sales channels, including direct-to-consumer, retail, Amazon, etc. And you can calibrate your in-platform reporting for incrementality with House. My friend Connor at HexClad uses House, and he was actually able to share that when they ran an incrementality test around Meta and Amazon, they realized that a lot of their Meta spend was indirectly driving revenue for Amazon. These learnings actually changed their acquisition strategy for Amazon going forward. If you're a seven-figure brand and you're running on multiple marketing channels, I should say if you're at least a seven-figure brand, then you can potentially save millions of dollars by starting an incrementality practice and learn what's truly driving your business. House uses superior science and makes this type of testing accessible, and so I recommend you check them out. Go to house.io/limited. That's HAUS.io/limited to learn more and get a demo. All right, we're back for another episode of Limited Supply. Today's episode is a bit shorter, but hopefully it packs a punch in terms of value or information. We talk all about how to launch a product. Specifically, what are the things you want to make sure you're addressing on your website, through ads, through organic social, and through email, and also just how to think about it in a way that kind of frames it a little bit differently so it's helpful. So before we get into today's episode, there's something that's so funny to me that keeps popping up. It's like it's so apparent and such a common problem for multiple brands, and I just want to bring it up because I think it's something that everybody's probably struggling with. And shoot me a note on email or DM on Twitter, and I'm curious to see if you're also experiencing this problem. But so many brands I've seen have a phenomenal product. They've got their performance media and ad creative is dialed in. But the one thing that they don't have, which is kind of preventing their growth and also good, ROAS or good CPA targets, is they don't do anything to get the brand awareness out there. And the way that I like to think about it is let's say you've got this pixie dust, right? Your brand awareness is kind of this pixie dust that gets sprayed all over the floor, right? So somebody's got it. They're just putting it all over the floor. That's brand awareness. That's, the brand recognition, that's brand excitement, that's brand affinity, that's everything it has to do with the brand, basically your logo, your name, what it means to people, how people feel when they see it. And our job as performance marketers, and I say our because I'm assuming most of the people listening to this kind of work on the side of revenue or performance marketing, is to take that awareness and engagement and turn that into customers, right? So as a media buyer, as a director of performance, as a leader on the D2C side, as a CMO, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm doing everything I possibly can to drive ads effectively. Why am I still not hitting the CPA target, right? People clearly say in the reviews that they love the product, but how come we're not able to get low CPMs and good CPAs? Well, I'll tell you, the biggest reason is most likely that your brand awareness is lacking. Your brand team is not doing enough on social. They're not doing enough to be out there, right? Physically, IRL. They're not interacting with customers enough. They're not putting themselves out with creators. They're not getting other people to talk about you. And this is what I've come to realize is the root of this problem is just a lack of excitement around building the brand awareness. There are so many, like, yes, for sure. There are brands that you don't need to build brand awareness. You can just run Facebook ads. I know of them. I've seen them. We've worked on some of them. But for majority of brands, that's just not the case. And most people are not sophisticated enough as performance marketers to do that. And so the best combination is to pair it with some sort of brand awareness, whether that's working with a creator, whether that's working with multiple creators. Look at Jolie, for an example. They pump out, tens of thousands of pieces of content with content creators on an annual basis. Or look at Salud, which is think of it as like Mexican Liquid IV. They pump out so much content with their content creators, with Josh, who's himself is a content creator and a co-founder. All like this to me is the biggest thing that holds people back is they just don't focus enough on excitement for the brand, right? People should see your logo or your brand name and feel some type of way. That is the only way that your ads work. If people see your logo and brand, they don't feel some type of way, and you're wondering why your ads aren't working, well, that's the answer. But that leads me to something today, which is to talk about the product launches and how we can maximize product launches for awareness and for driving revenue. So let me know what you think of the product launch segment. I actually, funny enough, I'm recording this as the last thing. I've already recorded the product launch stuff. Then I recorded the intro, and now I'm recording this part just because I felt like I wanted to make sure there's enough value in here. And this is also a rant that I wanted to get on the mic at some point. So I'm curious to see what you think. If you think this is a real problem also, or if you have any other ideas on how to solve it, shoot me a note. Maybe what I'll do next week or the week after, I'm planning to have Ryan on the pod. So I'm going to make a list of questions and kind of go at him from a top of funnel and an awareness standpoint, just asking him, how do you do it on a shoestring budget? How can you do it as a brand that doesn't have, the money to go hire crazy branding agencies or creative agencies? And I want to get you guys the answer. But building the brand awareness, to me, in my opinion, is the thing that holds a lot of brands back from hitting their $10 million a year mark, and definitely prevents them from getting to 25 because you can't even get to 10. So anyways, I'm excited to talk about product launches, but if you have any thoughts on this stuff around how to build brand awareness easily, let me know. Shoot me a DM or an email. I'm going to compile everybody's ideas and thoughts along with my own, and I'm going to bring that in an episode for you. Okay, we are back for another episode of Limited Supply. Today's actually a really exciting one. I'm recording this on today, which is Monday, September 16th. And why is it exciting? Well, today is the launch of a brand called David. It's founded by two guys, Peter Rahal and Zach Rainin. Zach had a e-commerce business called Raise before. I believe they were functionally beneficial cookies. Healthy ingredients and good for you cookies. And Peter obviously started RX Bar and sold that to Kellogg's for $600 million in cash, I believe. And, as we've been working on this project, it's been really sick, but you should go check out the site. It's called davidprotein.com, spelled just like David Protein sounds. And you'll love it. I think the branding is really tight. It's really crispy. It's really fresh. It's kind of a new take on what the category has seen before. Also, from a product standpoint, if we think about what the perfect launch constitutes of, it's not only a good site and good content and good messaging and positioning, but the ultimate thing is having a product that people actually like. And I don't know if you've gotten to try the product yet or not, but I've got some here with me. And the products are delicious. They're so good. They're, I think, the best protein bars I've ever had before. They've got this perfect crunch right in the middle. I don't know how they manufactured this crunch, but they've also got 28 grams of protein, 150 calories, no sugar. And we'll hopefully have Zach and Peter on Limited Supply to kind of talk through how they did that. But all that said, definitely check out the site. I think the site does a beautiful job, educating people on what it is, what all comes in it, how it compares to competitive protein brands. It's a very beautiful site. Yeah, there's not much else to say. It's beautiful. It converts well so far. And I'm excited for you to check it out. Go buy some protein bars. You can get the sampler pack, which is, it tries all four of the main flavors, and it's only $15. So grab that on davidprotein.com. And also shoot me an email or a DM on Twitter. Let me know what you think of the site. Is there anything that you really liked or didn't like? Is there anything you think could be improved? I'm curious to see what you think. I think it's one of my favorite sites we've built, so very excited about that. So that leads us into what today's episode is going to be about, and that is product launches. There's so many product launches that happen, and a lot of times I think it gets mistaken for just another launch, right? You have your brand launch, obviously. That's kind of like your store's grand opening moment. You've got the balloons outside. You've even got that guy who's you find him at the gas station car washes where they're just dancing all flimsy, right? That's your brand launch. But I think one thing that I've seen this brand specifically called Lemmy, Kourtney Kardashian's supplement brand, what they do really, really well is they treat every single product launch like it's a huge brand launch, right? And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk through today, how to create the perfect product launch. I think it essentially spans across a few things. One is your site. One is your ad creative, one is your email and SMS, and then one is your organic social / seeding / creators. So I want to go through this. Hopefully today's episode is super tactical. My hope is that you can listen to the episode, take notes on it, and hopefully implement these fixes into your next product launch. And, hopefully it'll help you make an extra 6 figures. So let's jump in. So let's talk about the website first. On the website, you need to think of this as your retail storefront, right? If you had a store in Soho or Rodeo Drive or, South Congress in Austin, you would make such a big deal out of the fact that you have a new product launch, right? You would change the windows, you would maybe change the the stickering or the design that's on the doors. You're going to make call outs there. As soon as people walk in, you're going to have a different kind of layout for the first, 10 feet of when people walk in. You really want to show off that product. And so what does that mean when you go to the site? Well, the first thing is I think you want to make sure you update your above the fold site experience or your site banner to show the new product. You want to show, in my opinion, a good site banner or site hero doesn't just show the product. It actually also shows, benefits. And again, what we know from website heroes is chunky text doesn't work. So paragraphs don't work. Stick to bullet points, stick to headlines that talk through benefits. Everything should be benefits driven, not necessarily chunks of text that focus on value props. So do that above the fold. Also make sure, try to have some social proof. If you don't have a number of reviews you can put, maybe it's number of units sold across the brand. If you don't want to put that, maybe it's a quote from an early reviewer of your product, right? Maybe that's taken and designed into the hero itself. It might be that there's some new technology that you want to address. And so you want to figure out how to make that hero pop. You don't just want to have a picture of the product, right? Ideally, you have the product in use. You might have actually, if you check out shopskinnyconfidential.com, that's the Skinny Confidential commerce website, you'll see that in the bottom right of the hero on both desktop and mobile, there's a small little square where the hero currently on the left side shows, I'm looking at on desktop, the hero on the left side shows a video with the product in action, and the right side shows kind of a lifestyle image, but then the bottom right, you have this tiny little corner, which is like a bit of an editorial corner, and it just shows like a still image of the product. So that, in my opinion, is a great version of a hero. It nicely shows that the product is launched. The customer can see it, they can understand it, they can get the punchline without having to scroll past the hero. Now, onto your collections page. In my opinion, the new product should be the first product that shows up. It should have a badge. It should be, it should kind of be like the center of attention. Some of you may do this thing in your collections page where every 2 to 3 rows, you reserve one of the product cards to actually be almost like an ad unit, kind of like a static unit where you can, put an image that you upload in there or a small video that you upload in there that kind of auto plays. You can use that spot to kind of reinforce the new product and the messaging of the new product, but I would definitely make sure that the new product is the first thing in your collections page. Now, in your slide out cart and your Shopify checkout extensions, I would also prioritize that if this product is not in cart or as a part of your cart as you're checking out, this should be the first product that is featured there. Let's say David had already launched and we just launched the new cake batter protein bar, right? I would make sure that the cake batter protein bar is the first on the collections page, and that also if you ordered the chocolate chip protein bar, the cake batter is the first suggested upsell in the cart, as well as you're checking out, it's the first suggested upsell there. Next one is on the on-site pop-up. So we've talked about using the on-site pop-up to explain when you have a promo or you're running a site-wide sale, and that's where you would put your info in, your email, your phone number. I would do the same thing here. So if you're launching a new product, use that on-site pop-up to include messaging around the new product, whether or not you offer a discount for it. And people who are coming, you have to think about the fact that it's not just ad traffic that's coming. There's also direct traffic. So that's really what you're trying to capitalize on. I would probably do the pop-up for like 48 to 72 hours, and then I'd switch it back to whatever converts the best. Obviously, after 24 hours, if you see a huge drop in signups or conversion rate for email, switch it back. But we've seen that sometimes new product drops, when you edit the email module, the pop-up module, you can sometimes see a higher than average collection rate. If you need, I would definitely also build additional modules for the PDP. You want to make sure that, if you're launching a new product, it may be a part of the same types of products you've launched. So let's say you're a milk company. It may be that it's another variation of milk. It also just might be that, you're launching yogurt. And so if you're launching yogurt, but your site PDPs are built to sell milk, you might need to add extra modules. You want to explain what it does, how it works, what comes in the box, how to use the product, how to prepare it or set it up, any sort of common frequently asked questions. Really think of this as your landing page. And so make sure you thoroughly explain everything there. And the last thing with the website is if you decide to run some sort of a pre-launch sale for your best customers, definitely direct that traffic to a dedicated landing page where you can speak to those customers in a slightly different manner. You want to remember that these are people who understand your brand, that you don't need to teach them about the brand or why they should buy or why they should trust you, right? You really just need to focus on selling the product. And so that's why I say you should have a separate landing page that focuses on that. It's a bit more lower funnel, whereas your PDP, you want to make sure can flex up and down the funnel, meaning if somebody's ready to buy right away, your PDP should work. If somebody has no idea who you are and they need to build that trust and understand who you are and compare you to other options on the market, your PDP should also do that. So your PDP should really be your kind of catch-all landing page is the best way to think about it. But if you run a pre-launch sale for your best customers or your subscribers or your VIPs, whether that's a specific flavor or an entire product, I would definitely separate that traffic. You can also then judge what is your conversion rate of traffic that you're directing that is already a customer, and that will just help you in future projections. All right, I need to interrupt this podcast to ask you a very important question. Have you ever wondered how much of your DTC ads, the ads going directly to your website, are impacting other sales channels in your business? For example, even with YouTube showing a 0.8x ROAS in platform, do you understand the impact that it has on driving sales in Target or Amazon? Chances are, unless you have an incrementality practice in place, it's hard to understand the impact of your ad dollars at a true incremental view, meaning that even though the YouTube might show a 0.8x ROAS, it's driving incremental sales to Target and Amazon, and therefore YouTube has a true incremental ROAS of 2.2x. Recently, with one of my favorite brands, Inkbox, House ran a test, and when they looked at Snap ads, it drove a 5% revenue lift on their DTC business. However, when they ran an incrementality experiment, isolating a control and expose group to the Snap ads, they saw that Snap delivered an 11% lift on Walmart sales and an additional 5% lift with Amazon sales. Experiments like this are so necessary when you have more than 2 channels of marketing or 2 channels of sales and distribution. In-platform reporting over-reports itself because they look for correlation, not causation. This specific case study or use case alone is why I recommend you get a demo of House. House is a self-service, automated, easy to set up incrementality and experimentation platform. It's built by the best scientists and economists and is trusted by leading brands to understand a marketing channel's true impact. If you're a 7-figure or larger omni-channel business, I highly recommend you spend 15 minutes, check out a platform demo of House. It blew my mind when I first saw how easy it was to set up the experiments, and I'm sure it's going to do the same for you. Go to house.io/limited to learn more That's haus.io/limited to learn more. Okay, moving on to ad campaigns. So for new products, you want to make sure that you have ad creative that's ready to go. And you want to make sure that you have it set for three kind of audiences of people. One is your prospecting. So, think about the ads that are going out. Maybe it's an ASC campaign with 0% customer overlap, so 100% net new customers, right? That's your prospecting. You want to make sure that the ads that are there are speaking to people who've maybe never heard of this product or your brand before. You want to have a retargeting set of creative that you can also leverage. Again, this really works if your brand is already big enough. So if you're spending a good amount, let's say over $500,000 a month on Meta, then you probably have a separate retargeting campaign versus just putting everything into a prospecting campaign that also kind of retargets a little bit. The third bucket is your past purchasers, so your remarketing campaign, as I call it. I know remarketing is not necessarily the word that people use anymore. I'm not sure why, but when I started in D2C about 7 years ago, it was always prospecting, retargeting, remarketing. Prospecting is people who haven't purchased. Retargeting is those who haven't purchased but know who you are. They've maybe engaged with you through your email list, through your website, through social, but you have some record that they've engaged with you. And then remarketing is people who have made at least one purchase, and those are obviously you're most likely to buy people again. Now, with product launches, you want to make sure that the ad specifically calls out the new product or the fact that it is a new product. It shows the product in use and it directly addresses all the benefits. You really just have to earn the click to the site. You don't have to fully sell the product, right? Let your product page or the landing page you're going to do that. And in that too, as you're creating this kind of paid media funnel around new products, you still want to focus on 5 main things. One is the angle. So what is kind of the thing that's going to get your foot in the door and allow you to say what you're trying to say? The second one is the audience you're targeting, right? So in this case, let's just call it prospecting, retargeting, or remarketing. The third is the creative. So what does that look like? Whether it's a static ad, whether it's a animation, whether it's a video, whether it's you as the founder jumping on, recording a video with your iPhone, adding subtitles and putting it up, but the creative. The fourth is the experience. So where are you driving them to on the site and what sort of information are they getting there? And the last one is the offer. So new product, we're trying to get new customers in the door. How are we going to do it in a way that is fiscally compelling to your prospect? So angle, audience, creative, experience, offer. I don't have an easy acronym for that, but it sounds like, those 5 things are easy to remember. So anyways, those are the things you want to focus on in the ad campaigns. Sometimes with new products, you kind of just have to get crafty. So that might mean testing new audiences, whether it's interest-based groups or just different variations of lookalikes. You also want to retest some of your creative thinking. So if you know that, for example, UGC has historically not performed well, now that there's a new product, I would retest that. Or if you know that, listicle style landing pages historically haven't performed well, new product, I would retest that. In fact, one thing I would just definitely do is whenever you launch a new product, if you find that education is sort of the barrier for people to buy the product, I would definitely explore things like listicles and advertorials, which I know we've talked about in a past episode. I think there's actually an episode called the Tactical Foreplay or Tactical Trio from a few episodes ago. I'd go listen to that. It kind of just breaks down how you can do that step by step. But it's a great way to take people. And again, if we go back to the concept of you just have to earn the click, right? Then our creative can just focus on earning the click, and then that listicle or that advertorial will focus on building intent, and then the product page or the landing page that people go to after that, where they're going to buy the product and there's an offer there, is going to actually sell the product. So hopefully that makes sense. Now on to email and SMS. With email and SMS, these lists are yours, right? This is first party data, and this is your first opportunity to generate awareness and revenue with your product launch. So my recommendation is that you entice your best customers to purchase early, maybe your top 5% or your top 10%. And then for the rest of them, send them a teaser. It might be like a blurry product image over email or text that gets people excited to sign up for a notification. It could be, a review that you're teasing but not showing the product. It could be a video of the founder of the company going on and just explaining, how excited they are about what's to launch, or kind of showing behind the scenes of creating the product. Lemmy does a really good job of this, where they will show imagery of the gummies or the capsules or the tincture, but they won't exactly tell you what it is for or what purpose it serves. But their excitement overall gets everybody excited, and the excitement that people see from other people gets them excited. It's kind of this ripple effect of excitement, which is what drives social engagement and obviously awareness for the product. So I would definitely try to do that. I think it gets a lot of people excited. The other thing I mentioned was like the text to get an opt-in for a notification. So Sniff, which is a candle brand, fragrance and candle brand, I love getting their text. They'll say, hey, we have this new product. It launches on this day. Click this link to be the first to know when it launches. And that obviously gets me excited because, I want to go support, but also I love their products. So I want to make sure I know that they sell out. Within a couple hours of the going live. So I want to make sure that I'm in there. And this is also a good thing as a practice to do, because you kind of want your audience to understand that, all right, this product sells out. This brand always sells out of their products as soon as they go live. And it gets a lot of people excited about the wait list. It gets you to kind of play this drop strategy. This is something we've done a lot with the Skinny Confidential, where, when we launched Mouth Tape, we had it was basically a pent up demand. We had a bunch of people who were really excited for the drop, sold out within, less than an hour. Then the next time the restock was here, we already had that list ready to go of people. Again, dropped it, sold out. And now I think we're much better from an inventory standpoint, but also that was the game, right? We wanted to drive that hype, that excitement. We want people talking about it. You kind of want some people to not get it, because that drives, again, more engagement, more talking, more chatter, etc. Back to the email stuff. Once the product does go live, I'm personally a fan of sending at least an email per day for the first 3 days. You want to obviously make sure you exclude past purchasers. You could even exclude like past clickers, right? So you're not bugging them. For your best customers, add a VIP discount or an early bird special, and make sure that discount is auto applied. Don't send an email to your VIP customers with a discount code and have them have to put the code in. You should definitely tell them the code. Let's say it's like, I see this Matador energy shot next to me. So let's say you're sending a Matador email out, there's a new flavor of the new energy shot, and you say, VIP 20 is the coupon code for everybody who, has all our top customers. Now, if I click that and I go to the site and I miss putting in the code VIP20, but I check out, there's going to be a lot of people who do that, and that's going to drive customer service inquiries up. But if you have the URL where, it's got a link to the PDP, but it includes the redirect, the Shopify redirect code for adding the promo code in there. If you don't know how to do that, just Google promo code, or actually I'll just write it up. Go to nick.co/Shopify promo code. I'll just make a note to write that up later. Shopify promo code. If you go there, I'll have the instructions on how to do it, both if you're going to drop it into checkout or if you're going to send somebody to a product page. But you want to make sure that as best as you can, right, you're putting all your customers on this red carpet, especially your best ones. And that's why you want to make sure you include that code. There is a software that I just recently became aware of called Because, and I want to say their domain is something like trybecause.com, and they can actually do stuff very similar to what I'm talking about, where based on the clicks that you get from email, you can actually create this kind of custom experience, whether it's through notification banners or announcement bars, things like that. But anyways, bar none, you want to make sure for your best customers, you add a VIP discount or early bird special. Same thing goes for SMS. And I would really only send subsequent SMS messages if there's engagement. Like, have they clicked the link, or have they added something to cart? Have they engaged with the site? Otherwise, I wouldn't bother them again on SMS, because obviously the opt-in rate is really high. Okay, so now you've launched your product. And one thing you want to make sure you have in your pocket ready to go is a very similar email to what you sent the first time, but have it be kind of a sold out message. So, thanks so much for your support. We completely sold out. Here is where you can put your phone number in or your email to be notified when we're back in stock. And, it should be something like sign up to be notified. Basically, the messaging should be kind of urgent, right? Sign up now, be the first to know. and that way you don't miss it again. And then as soon as that product is back in stock, use again email and SMS to notify those people. And of course, encourage that, the second time you restock a product onwards, you want to make sure that you message, hey, this sold out in 30 minutes. Don't forget. Even from an advertorial standpoint, actually, one learning that I have that I would apply everywhere is anytime you mention that something has sold out before, the conversion rate of that goes way up. So if in your email you mentioned this is sold out before, you got to get it now, I bet your conversion rate and click-through rate is going to be significantly higher. Okay, so now moving on to organic social. So regardless of how small or large your brand is, if you have a new product, the first place most people are going to go to check is going to be your social channels. It can be super hard to remember the exact domain. So naturally, people, especially younger people, call it under 35. Sorry to everybody over 35. Please don't hate me. But people are going to naturally search Instagram or TikTok, which is why you need to think of these platforms on their own as their own funnels, right? You've definitely heard me talk about how with Instagram, you want to make sure you've got the highlights. With TikTok, TikTok is very clearly becoming a major player in the search engine world of things. So you want to make sure that you have product reviews, you have pin posts to your own TikTok profile. Same with Instagram. You've got the, an updated bio. Maybe you address the new product in the bio. Whatever it is, you want to make sure you're thinking of these as funnels. So I know, my personal standard would be like highlights, reviews, making sure both of those are updated on your profile page. It would be to make sure from a seeding standpoint that, if I were to search Matador blue raspberry, that there should be, at least 15 to 30 TikTok product reviews that have already been posted by other people. I think also on Instagram, you want to make sure you've got enough information. Maybe it's like you pin 3 posts at the top, or you at least pin, the first one, and that sort of goes into more product detail. Maybe it's a carousel with the product image, and that's what's featured on your grid when you pin it. But then all the other, 19 posts after that, yes, that is correct, 19. Instagram now allows for 20 slides. All the rest of the 19 is a compilation of, a comparison chart, ingredients, benefits, reviews, all that kind of stuff. So I'm a huge fan of making sure that your organic social is super optimized. I think the biggest miss that I see actually even on Black Friday is when brands have a big sale and they don't run it on organic social. And I'm not really sure why. Organic social is not really a place to be romantic about your feed or your grid anymore. Or your profile. It's really a place to just pump out as much content as possible and see what sticks. So I would put it out, see what sticks, and you can archive the stuff that doesn't do well, but there's a very good chance that if you're romantic about what goes on your social channel, you're just missing out on hundreds of thousands of impressions because you're not open to trying stuff. Okay, last thing I'll say is when you have that new launch, be super loud on organic with that. Like I said, make those top three pin posts, add a highlight on the profile and talk through the product, unbox it, talk through its benefits, what makes it different, why it's such a big deal. It should really feel like you're walking somebody through like a QVC style shopping experience and should leave them with really no questions. So those are the things that I would say are my must-have checklist. Today's episode was definitely inspired by both Lemmy and David launching new products today. Check them both out, see what you think. And I hope that, at least one of these nuggets in here is going to help you build a better website, better ads, better emails, or get better organic social strategy. If there's anything you think I missed, definitely shoot me a note. Again, my email is n@sharma.com. I love all the people that have been emailing me. Thank you for sending those emails. I've been trying to respond to as many as I can, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise on CPG, retail, and e-commerce. If you enjoyed this episode, why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss the next one.